Spoiler alert, there was no red wave. So, this is going to be a little bit of a rant and a little bit of a tirade and a sort of breaking down some of these things. But it's not going to be an angry rant. This is going to be an actual sort of rant that is more coherent, hopefully. Although I probably will get a little upset during this. But I do want to give a direct and correct autopsy of this recent midterm elections in 2022. So a couple of things to note is that Democrats did outperform what they normally would have, and there are a lot of factors for this. There is the younger voter who seems to actually be more actively engaged in politics, in the political sphere. So that's becoming more of a thing, and the those voters overwhelmingly vote Democrat. It seems in most areas. So that definitely is a factor. Also, the overturning of Roe v. Wade did sort of galvanize what would have been a dead base, because they would have just accepted the fact that like I think that there probably would have been a decent turnout anyway, because I think that they want to basically rub it in after defeating Trump. Now, I think that they think that they can take victory laps again and again, and unfortunately, it does seem that they aren't going to get to take victory laps over and over again. Although the House is going to be a very slim margin being held, and the Senate may stay blue. I actually, or may flip blue. I mean, it's very close. So there's a lot to draw, a lot of conclusions to draw. A lot of people are making a lot of very bold statements about the results, and I don't think that they're accurate. I think they're completely incorrect and actually kind of stupid. Let me just call it that. They're really stupid, really dumb. And the biggest takeaway that I see a lot of people saying is that this is all Trump's fault. And oh boy, this one is funny. And it, like, I hate to have to stump for Trump all the time. Like, I don't agree with everything he's done, but I think that people what there is sort of this like reactionary thing to Trump, like where there are a lot of people who just don't like him, or they see something happen and they say that everything is his fault. Um, and I think that they just don't see both the bigger picture. They're just I think a lot of people are just they're kind of like they're tired of seeing him, and so they just want to, like, okay, well, oh, Trump is dead, Trump is awful, blah blah blah. Um, he's not going away. He's not going away. You may want him to go away, and that may be the what you'd prefer, but he's just not going to go away. I mean, until he finally hangs his hat up, and I think that would be after if he runs and wins. If he runs and wins and has another 4 years, I think he'll just hang his hat up and he'll be done. And he may weigh in on politics, but I don't think he's gonna be as heavily involved as he is now. I think he wants to find a successor before he actually gives it up. I think he does want somebody who will be his successor and who will kind of carry the torch for the movement that he's trying to accomplish here. So, key takeaways that a lot of people are trying to say. A lot of people were apparently DeSantis won overwhelmingly in Florida, overwhelmingly. So it looks like Florida, for the most part, it looks like it's a very red state, whereas it was kind of a purple state several just several election cycles ago. It flipped back and forth between Democrat and Republican. So it was a very purple state, and it seems like it's hardline red at this point. So that's a good pickup to keep that way. And it's going to be important going forward to have Florida that be such a stalwart position for Republicans, because it is a heavily populated state, and it actually gained population during the whole 2020 and everything. So it's actually going to possibly maybe gain some seats, and New York may lose some seats because people moving out of the state, and California may lose some seats, House seats, from people moving out of that state. Um, so there's a lot of things to be looked at in regards to that going forward. But we won't know those things until I guess the next census, and then they'll be able to reallocate and redistrict all that. So that'll be that's something that looks sort of to keep in mind for the future. That these things can happen. That there can be more red districts and more representatives for Florida and less for New York and less for California in the future potential. So that's a good thing. Also, Texas pretty much staying red. Very very positive direction for Texas is keep going red instead of almost going like a purple state at that point. When Beto got really close to knocking off, I think it was Cruz. So there's a lot of a lot of things to talk about here with in regards to this. Um, but the and I'm gonna be all over the place probably, but hopefully you get something out of this. But I think that the people there are a lot of people who are diagnosing this as Trump's failure because Trump did a lot of endorsements. He endorsed a lot of people. Some were very questionable. Some people I didn't think that they needed to be running. Uh, but I think that there's a lot of concessions that were made with the GOP establishment, and people aren't seeing that. And I don't think I'm seeing that just because I'm paying attention to like I'm overly I guess invested in trying to keep up with some of this stuff. I do pay attention to how sort of like the machinations of this work, or maybe I'm just observant. I really like to think that I'm observant about a lot of things, but I think the machinations of the politic and of the political system are very much a series of sort of compromises. And I think that Trump is trying to compromise with some of the GOP establishment and put some of their candidates forward to try to, bolster those candidates because the GOP establishment was trying to negotiate with him so that okay, well, if your candidates, I'm assuming this is why they were talking to DeSantis as well, like McCarthy and McConnell were talking to DeSantis because what they're trying to do is they're trying to play both sides here. And what they really wanted to do is get bait Trump into endorsing bad candidates, so that they could then say, "Oh, look, see, the Trump effect is wore off. So now let us neocons back in. Let us neocons back in, and we want DeSantis. Us neocons want DeSantis to run." All the neocons, every single neocon I see is saying DeSantis 2024 or nothing. And that is a very, very, very particular sign for me. And what it means is they want to go back to business as usual. And I'm not for that. I don't think anybody in this entire system is actually for that. It's just a lot of people that are signaling this and it is being picked up and sort of this mimetic thing, like how memes spread and how mimetic language and interpretation is spread, is taking off because people are drawing the same conclusion because GOP establishment pundit is saying this, and then they're drawing that conclusion, and and saying, oh well, this is Trump's fault because Trump endorsed the bad candidates. But they don't see the behind the scenes where Trump is probably trying to negotiate with the GOP establishment to say, okay, well, I want to run in 2024. What? How do I get you guys on board with Trump 2024? He's talking to McConnell. He's talking to McCarthy and says, how do I get you on board for Trump 2024? And then they counter and they say, okay, well, you have to back these specific candidates, and obviously they're the neocon and the worst candidates, or even Oz is just a terrible candidate in general. He could almost be sort of a mild communist, but you put those kind of candidates forward and you say, okay, here Trump, endorse these candidates, and if they win, we give you the keys to the kingdom. If they lose, they know they'll lose. The establishment knows that these people will lose because they have data, they have all of this kind of stuff that's telling them, signals that are telling them. They say, Trump, you endorse these candidates. If they win, then you get the keys to the kingdom. You get to run in 2020. Otherwise, you're on your own, pal. And I think that was the setup. That was the setup. Is let Trump endorse all of these really bad candidates, or not great candidates. And also just like just let those candidates fail, and then whenever those candidates fail, we can blame Trump. And everybody seems to want to do that. Everybody wants to blame Trump for every single thing. Whether it's Democrats wanting to blame him for January 6th or whatever, or Republicans now wanting to blame him for the loss. And I don't think that all of this is his fault, but I think he is the ultimate scapegoat for all of the problems and the ills of not just the world of politics and everything, but like people have literally made him into a someone that they just want to martyr him in order to kind of move on, I guess. Um, and that seems to be sort of like a Mayan sort of perspective of like we this person is there was there has been, I think there was something talking about it at one point, I saw on Twitter, but there is definitely like where if you find someone that is a problem in your community, you go to them and you throw them out and you kick them out, and then that person, once you kick that person out of the society and you cast them out, then supposedly your society is going to go back to normal. And I think that's sort of what they're trying to get with Trump. They want Trump out because then they think that everything will go back to normal. But the body politic is not wanting that. Nobody wants to move on from this sort of MAGA focused or whatever America first mentality. Nobody wants to move on from that. That is something that it wants to stay. I mean, we had the Tea Party, which was sort of the beginnings of that, which got fractured, and then we have now MAGA, America First, all this kind of stuff, and I think that you can't move on from that. You can't go back to establishment neocon. Nobody wants that. Not libertarians, not Republicans, not Democrats. Nobody wants neocon, whatever. Like that's not going to work for any Democrats. It's not going to work for any Republicans. And I think it's just something that you have to they have to accept. And I think it's going to take them being completely run out of the barn with I don't know, like they're going to have to be completely run out of the barn basically to get this moving in a positive direction. Now, this has been a long spiel, and hopefully you actually watch some of the video. Maybe you get something out of it. I'm going to continue like talking about, I guess, the more specific things that I found wrong with the campaigning. The main takeaway that I got from the campaigns, from all the campaigns that lost, particularly they were talking about Bidenflation, talking about the gas prices, which apparently no one cares about. Okay, and I'm gonna break a hard truth to you. I'm gonna hopefully snap you out of it, and realize that no one. I'm like I care about inflation. I care about gas prices. Some of the other Republicans, generally, the sort of just Republican voters do care about that kind of stuff, but it's not something to bring them to the polls. Like it's not bringing people to the polls as Bidenflation or gas prices. It's not just going to bring them to the polls, especially for midterms when there's no president on the ballot. So you've got to give these voters something to vote for, not something to vote against. So reactionary politics works possibly during a presidential election because people can look at like, okay, Biden have things gotten like they can remember just long enough to say, okay, well, have back in 2020 and now we're in 2024, are things better now than they were 4 years ago? And that's sort of the mental calculation that a lot of these people will make, and they say they will react. They will say, well, inflation's been terrible. All these things are really bad, and so then we'll vote Republican to get out of the Democrat, candidate. Like, so we'll get a Republican in the White House instead of a Democrat because things are actually worse. And that sort of works for a presidential election to some degree. I don't think it'll continue working. I think that you have to offer something The Democrat voters, the Democrat establishment, and all the people who are sort of your generic Democrat voter, they are driven by fear, and so the fear of the Roe v. Wade, overturning, the fear of democracy being destroyed, the fear of um, the fascism or whatever being coming to the forefront and rising. If we get a Republican Congress, oh no, then we're gonna be they're gonna go put us in cages and stuff like this, and we're gonna do all this kind of stuff. They're gonna have our women be baby factories and all this kind of stuff that they do. Okay, so fear tactics work for generating any amount of buzz for Democratic candidates, and I think that they're going to continue being capable of utilizing that fear tactic over any other. I mean, the fear tactic seems to be a very positive system for them right now. Apologies. But the fear tactics seem to be a very positive methodology for the Democrats to rile up their voter base and tell people, okay, well, they're going to try to end democracy. They January 6th, all this kind of stuff. They can really fear tactic all their base and rile them up and say, hey, look what they're going to do if they get in office. They're going to end your Medicare and end your Social Security. They've been saying this kind of stuff, and I think that really worked for even for possibly some generally leaning Republican voters, because if they're like, well, if they're going to end Social Security and Medicare, I don't need to vote for those people. And even though you can say, oh, it's not true, I think that those voters are going to do that regardless. What Republican establishment needs to do is basically go away. But what the new Republican sort of base, what we need to build out of the Republican message, I guess, instead of Bidenflation, instead of gas prices, instead of all these like lower taxes, lower corporate taxes, we have to move on from that. And I've seen other people echo something like this. But some of them are just saying like, well, we need someone like DeSantis. But what we actually like the particular strategy that we do need to model DeSantis, but we need to do that on a national level. There does need to be they're willing to punish their enemies. They're willing to punish us because it's very expedient. It's very cathartic for them to be able to punish us with these kind of tactics and do all these kind of things. Destroy your monetary system, destroy all your rights, destroy everything. Ruin all these kind of things for you. They are well capable, and they're well willing to do those kind of things. But what we need is a strong, positive vision of the future from right wing candidates, from Republican candidates. Strong, positive vision of the future, what we're going to do with that future, and how we're going to get there. You need a full strategic plan. Say, hey, this is the future, and this is how Republicans plan to execute on that future. And if you can't bring anything to the table, if you can't do that kind of stuff, no candidate, no Republican candidate should even, basically run if they can't if we can't get a plan together and have them all sign off on this plan. All of your Republican candidates need to sign off on this particular plan of, this is what we want to do, not just corporate tax cuts, not just lower the inflation, not just lower the gas prices. We need a particular positive vision of the future where everyone is being, we're raising up people, and we're trying to promote family units. We're trying to promote positive things for society, and removing all of the negative things. Immediately, if they were to control things, they should immediately try to end chemical castration, end chemical messing with the chemicals in kids' bodies, and say that parents have a say. A lot of people don't like that kind of stuff, but it's something that is actually tangible and that people need to have, because there are even some states where people, parents are being arrested for trying to protect their kids from these kind of things. So there needs to be a positive vision of the future, of getting stopping a lot of the nonsense, allowing parents more control. Giving helping promote families and promoting this sort of positive vision for a future of people with families that are contributing to society. I apologize. Having a little bit of a rough cold. But so that's what I want to see. Positive vision of the future, with a strategic plan of how we get there, of how we can focus and make sure that we're promoting family, that we're promoting uh, growth and sustainability within all of our communities across America. And if we get that, then then maybe Republicans have a way of winning. But until then, until we have a positive vision, until we have some sort of 10-point plan of how to get there, I don't think that Republicans are going to command the capability that they really want to do. So that's sort of been my tirade. A little bit of a long rant. I didn't really do sort of any good breakdown. A lot of repeating things. So but it is what it is. I just wanted to sort of get some of my thoughts out there. Hope you get something from that. Maybe you want to comment below and let me know what you think. What do you think happened with this election? And also, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy this rant. And there are links to other my other stuff all in the description. So if you want to go check that out, go check that out. And I appreciate you. And this is Trey from Trey's Think Tank. Signing out.